Europe is, European Union is a bit too slow in terms of recognizing those things, putting it in the list, helping Ukraine in the very first months of the war in terms of weapons. Was it everything done fast enough or still?
Well, actually, I'm pretty proud. I think that it could have been much worse. So when you had seen and observed how the European Union acted in other crises, I think we were very much committed. We were, for the European Union standards and its decision-making process, we were rather swiftly acting. And with the sanction package, it's not so much the question of putting more and more and more sanctions. I mean, diamonds are missing, yes. Uranium are missing, yes, that's for sure, that's obvious. But otherwise, these are rather the loopholes. So we see there are a couple of countries like Turkey, like Kazakhstan, like Georgia, Armenia, and so on, surrounding countries who help to circumvent and evade the sanctions. So this is rather the problem. It's not so much that we do not have the legal base now, but we have too many helpers for Russia. Sometimes this is intentionally, sometimes this is non-intentionally, but nevertheless, the result is the same. So Russia can still import a lot of high technology goods, white products such as microwaves and so on. So it's not so much on European Union didn't enough at the first place. I think they were extremely fast, maybe not with weapons. Yes, this took much too long, and still we are looking for ammunition. Still we are looking for the crucial, let's say, jets and many other equipment. Still, I think we could have started with enlarging the capacities much faster, absolutely. But in terms of opening the borders, I mean, Ukrainians got this exception rules. They can apply for work. They get the social transfers. They are not staying in line for all the other registration processes and so on. So there were a lot of exemptions being made for Ukrainians. I think this needs to be considered as well. And also in terms of humanitarian aid, in terms of generators, in terms of many things which were needed to survive during winter times, EU did not bad. Yes, on weapons that was too slow and too little, no question. But I think in the long run, we will prevail.
Hopefully we will, but what I'm trying to, I will put this in the context. In terms of organization or organizational support, while European Union still was in some questions too slow or not maybe did not mobilize enough. At the same time, such countries as BRICS countries or authoritarian regime countries had or used this gap that European Union did not fulfill to create a multipolar world, or to claim that they are, now we are moving away from international law and we are now seeing ourselves in the multipolar world where authoritarian regime can say easily to its own people that it is a democracy. So now what I'm trying to say, that European Union is losing this monopoly, or not only European Union, but the whole West, civilized West, is using its monopoly on democracy, and now everyone can call themselves democracy because the definition is so broad, and they like being or supporting countries like Russia and China. They are trying to be balanced to European Union, and that is how they are selling it to their own people. Aren't we losing in these terms? I mean, in like strategically.
No, that's true. I mean, the strategic communication is very poor, and that was from the very beginning. So we left a lot of ground for Russia to disseminate their own messages in a very, very brutal and very blunt way. That was my criticism from the very beginning, but also after Maidan. So we left much ground for disinformation and false information. And we had the experience in many countries that it was not always a bad intention by the local people, but it was mainly the very well drafted and very strategic drafted disinformation coming from Russia. With the grain deal, it's the same thing. So using the hunger and using the malnutrition in many countries to blackmail those countries and to put pressure on those countries which heavily depend on the grain imports. But not saying it is because of the war, but saying it is because of the sanctions against Russia. There are no sanctions on Russian grain. There are no sanctions on Russian pesticides, on nitrogen, fertilizer, and so on. But they're using the whole situation to victimize themselves. So in that respect, we have to be much quicker. We need to communicate to certain regions much more strategically. We have to reach out to countries in Latin America and Africa and Asia. We didn't do this enough. That is a lack of coherence here in the European Union. Here, there I agree. But in terms of acting against Russia immediately and helping Ukraine, I think we did quite a lot.
So it's rather communication that is like...
It's communication, but it's also interacting. So I think it was a success to see that 144 or 141 at the first UN resolution supported this resolution, condemned the Russian aggression, condemned all this war crimes and so on. So I think it was a huge success. Russia saw only a couple of, 5 supporters on this side. Of course, many abstention, but nevertheless, the majority of the states, even they were not democracies, even they maybe not clearly alliance of the West, supported this resolution. And that was quite a surprise for Russia.